Hello, this is George Sandman. I'm the founder and CEO of Growth Drive. And Growth Drive is a system used by business advisors to drive client profits, growth, and value. Now, we're also a community. Every week we get together to talk about all things business advisor, everything clients, cases, things we're seeing out in the world. Now, tune in here to this podcast, and you can join the conversation by scanning this QR code, passcode 867-5309. Jump into the conversation. Everyone's welcome. We're looking forward to having you. So here we go. On with the show.
Larry and Andy and I, so Larry and Andy are helping to facilitate, as are many of you, that you just don't know it yet, are helping to facilitate the Growth Drive Summit. We're here in 54 days, I believe. Good morning, Steve. And so yesterday we did a dry run. And now I need to circle back around with the committee. We did a dry run. And in this dry run, it became very clear that our journey was a little fractured. And that we weren't honoring AI enough. This is not an AI summit. What do you want? Excuse me one sec, guys. God bless it. Yeah, you're a nudge.
So, Paul, how's it out in the Northwest?
Hot.
Oh, really? Are you
Yes.
guys? I always forget.
Well,
Sorry about that,
it's not
guys.
supposed to be, but today it's going to only 90 today, 95.
Welcome to Charleston. Well, I'm technically on vacation, so I apologize that I sentence because my 14-plus-year-old dog is like having a toddler. Okay, so what changed is that we had our journey for the summit going. It was a little off kilter. We were going to run 2 workshops on Monday morning, the pre-show show, the bonus workshop. So Mike was going to lead one, Larry and I were going to lead the other. What we decided to do is we've decided to actually make one workshop on Monday morning, during which we are going to focus on AI. Okay. And as part of that workshop, we are going to collectively workshop, hey guys, what are the top 3 workflows? Thank you, AI, right? The top 3 workflows that you would value that we can introduce first. I have my own ideas, but I really want to hear from 100 of my closest friends. Good morning, Tim. And the client acquisition, what happens if we don't win engagements, Mike?
Nothing.
Nothing happens until we win engagements. And Mike has made that point very passionately. So rather than, I then picked up the phone and called Mike and I said, hey man, I know you are planning on running we have committed to running a workshop on Monday morning. What do you think about actually expanding that and getting a big fat chunk of time in on Monday afternoon with the plenary, right? With the entire the assembled multitude. Good morning, Eric. And doing a version of Turbo in the room. And Mike was excited to do that. Fantastic. Mike Garrison, by the way, a sponsor of the Growth Drive Summit, strategic referral team, and Mike Garrison, thank you. Thank you, man. Deeply
So the check cashed?
the rabbit died, Mike. And so that's what we've decided to do. We're going to start with AI because we want everyone to have a foundation in AI and walk out of there with some prompts. And then selfishly, we're going to get input from you as to what I'm going to show you. Claire, Claire is a toddler, but I'm going to show you the first working version of Claire. And I'm so excited. And so we're going to have Claire, some immersion into AI, because AI is one of the 3 lines, and client acquisition is a through line throughout the entire summit. So Monday morning, we're going to start with AI. Then we're going to get into the summit. We're going to do client acquisition. And then we're going to move, it might be helpful if I showed you the agenda. We're busy updating the online agenda. Then we're going to move into, we're going to do 2 panels on Tuesday. So client acquisition, and we're going to hear from Dave Parsons, also a sponsor. Thank you, Dave, although he's not here. See you in Louisville on Monday, Mike. And Dave is going to talk. He's had 2 very successful exits. And Dave is going to talk about his second exit and his encore career as an exit doer, as a transferable value guide, as a growth driver, right? Growing profits and transferable value. That'll be fun. On Tuesday, then, we're going to have 2 panels. And each of those panels will lead to 2 workshop tracks. Let me make this clear as mud for you all. Bear with me one second. I'll share my screen. Session Lab, a terrific tool out of Latvia or Lithuania. Here we go. I'm signing in. Don't do 2-step. Thank you so much. Summit 2025. We'll do an overview. Okay. Yeah, this might be the best way to show you. Okay, guys, I'm going to share my screen. How are you, Eric?
Doing well.
Good. Awesome. By the way, guys, if you haven't registered for the summit, please register for the summit. We already have a terrific list of people who have registered. I know there are many of you who have not yet had the opportunity. So, what's the best way to show this to you? Day 1, but I want the summary. Yeah, no, that's not gonna. We'll just do the overview. Okay. Is this big enough for y'all to see?
Yep.
So I talked about AI workshop, and we're going to have a pit stop. We're keeping that Formula One team. We're going to do the welcome. We're going to buddy you up. You're going to walk out of the summit. One of the things we're doing is we're going to ask everyone to collaborate with someone they don't know yet 4 times. Monday morning, Tuesday afternoon, and Wednesday morning. So you're going to have 4 people where you've spent a half day collaborating with. Okay. Plus the dinners, plus breakfasts, lunches, social events. So we're going to have a ton of fun. By the way, anybody coming in on Sunday night, we will do some kind of group. We may go to Pugin's Porch again. There's a new cool joint right across from the hotel. So we'll do some big group outing where we descend on an unsuspecting restaurant.
No ouzo, Eric. No ouzo.
Okay, so that's day 1, client acquisition, and then we're going to do a plenary on strategic intent, right? And we're not going to get into the depth we do in C3D, but we are going to talk about helping and we're going to have a plenary workshop. Anything you see in green is a workshop. We're going to have a plenary workshop on strategic intent. Day 2, breakfast, an hour buffet networking opportunity, right? That's how I view these meals. And then we're going to get into our first panel, which is on the white paper. If you have not had a chance to read it, I suggest you do. People are absolutely loving it. Excuse me. Go away. I'm getting nudged. Go lie down, honestly. We're gonna have a panel, and I'm busy asking that we identified yesterday who we would like to have on that panel. It won't surprise you that we were hoping to have an investment banker if he agrees, a private equity leader, if he agrees, and a practitioner, I assume they will all agree. Then you have 2 tracks. You're going to notice there's a clarity track and a collaboration track, clarity track and collaboration track. And in the collaboration, in the clarity track, we're going to look at, so here we're talking about strategic capacity as a driver of value creation. In the clarity track, we'll look at it from the technologies perspective. And in the collaboration track, we'll look at it from the collaborative team perspective. We do the same thing in the afternoon. We're going to workshop a tip. Hey, Teresa, Tip Quilter is not on this call. I was just having this conversation with him. It is 100% relevant to and inspired by what a lot of you are doing. We're seeing these different business models advisory business models pop up. We're going to have a panel talk about partnership, ad hoc, and solopreneur, and those are the people who are going to be on the panel. So I think that's self-explanatory. Very, very relevant. And then we're going to workshop it, and you have 2 tracks. How does clarity help with these models? And then in the other one, how does collaboration generally? And I know you can't be in both rooms. I know there's going to be a lot of interest in being both rooms. You'll notice after each we have a plenary review. So we're going to spend time saying, okay, what did you learn? Bringing the learnings together. I think that's going to be terrific. And this is what the committee designed, what you guys have asked for. So we're going to get super immersive. And then on Wednesday morning, so this is what's changed. Wednesday has stayed pretty static. We're going to do, we'll do a panel on the future of our profession, Eric here present. And we're going to talk about, and you'll notice anytime I mention clarity, there's an AI implication. We'll discuss AI. AI isn't going to be the dominant player, but will be present in the room. And we'll talk about the impacts that AI can have, and a lot more to come. Future of our profession, obviously heavily impacted by AI, heavily benefited by AI. People are like, oh my gosh, we won't need advisors and consultants anymore. You may not need consultants, but you are definitely going to need advisors. That's you guys, and this is what we do. And then we'll wrap it up. So Tim, you're on here. I don't know if you were on when I said, hey, we're going to do the AI workshop on Monday morning. My friend, I know this
Yeah,
is
I could feel the hook coming out of my back, which is great.
So guys, and thank you. So thank you, Mike, for your flexibility, and your support. And we're going to put you up on the big stage.
Whatever.
And we'll run a facilitated session here. It's going to be, guys, it's going to be great. Okay. Those are the updates from here. The only other updates I have for you are that the DCF, what the work the guys are doing on DCF is really, really cool. And it's going to be very valuable for you. So what you will have in the range of values, you as soon as we release it. So I'm just working on the design, the user interface, and some things that seem like they'd be easy are hard, and some things that seem like they'd be impossible, they get done in 5 minutes. So the range of values, we're adding the DCF look at value. What we are also adding, we're using this opportunity to create a financial data module. So you will enter, let's say you enter revenues in level 1, that'll automatically populate the financial data module. And then you will have the opportunity to update in the FDM, in the financial data module, revenues, and the system will track your updates. You will have the ability to unwind updates. But what we're adding is one other concept. I've talked for years about how fast can you afford to grow your business. The article is in the C3D binder. It's an HBR article from years ago. We are adding a formula that will allow you to calculate how quickly organic cash, what growth it will allow, and adding that line to simulator. So imagine the conversations, right? You do not need to be a fractional CFO to do that. Yes, Steve. Awesome. And but it is going to require some more sophisticated data than we typically get. It's not hard data to get at, and you can imagine that I'm doing everything I can to pull that data automatically, and then that's coming soon to a software near you. Mr. Duke, good morning, man. How are you? I hope we'll be graced with your presence here in October.
I expect you will.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's great news.
I don't know the answer to this question, but I will throw it out there just to be a contrarian.
No, Steve,
Get out.
Billy.
Yeah,
I love it, man. Go ahead.
So I wonder if AI has invalidated that Harvard paper you just cited.
If AI has invalidated?
Yes.
It's an interesting question.
I think
Why do you ask? What's your argument?
Well, in the old days, like last year, you could get two out of three things, better, faster, cheaper.
Yeah.
This year and going forward, you can get all three at the same time. So I'm thinking that paradigms are going to get flipped upside down.
Dude, I'm duding you. Steve, I love that. I love that question. And I love your thesis. And I think you maybe proved correct to an extent, right? The sky's the limit. Not the sky isn't to an extent. I love that question. And what's very cool is that our data, you guys, the data you are creating is going to prove this out. And what the financial data module is also going to allow us to do, and Steve, you made a fabulous point, is going to allow us to stick our periscope into financial performance, right? And because we're going to be getting, gross revenue, net income, cash flow, we're going to be able to pull either manually input or pull financial performance data. We're adding 2 questions to the top of FDM, which are relevant to all of our work. 1, are you accounting on a cash or an accrual basis? Click the radio dial that applies. And are these normalized revenue? Is your revenue normalized? Yes, no. Because we know if it's not normalized revenue and they're accounting on a cash basis, those are education points when your client's like, well, what's normalized? You guys know how to answer that question. And what do you mean cash or accrual? You know how to answer that question. Mr. Garrison, sir, you don't have to put up your hand, jump in, tell me to shut up.
No. So I think Steve had a great question and a great answer. And I think specifically within the delivery or acquisition of information by prospects and clients, there is zero question that you're going to be able to get all three, right? Information is going to be faster, better, and cheaper. I still think where we all need to be is on the execution, right? And that's whether you like it or not, we're not going to be the gatekeepers of special knowledge. We're instead going to be facilitators of better outcomes through our ability to interact with business leaders. And so, like Steve, even though sometimes we approach things from a different perspective, I am 100% in your camp. And I was reading a great book that I shared with George yesterday, and I'll do a link onto Circle later. But Answer Rank, that like right now, you've got to forget SEO and you need to start thinking about when clients are asking questions that you want to be the answer for, where do you rank right now in AI? And it's really fascinating how that works. I've had all my clients do it to varying degrees of success or potential disaster. Right? Some of my, and ironically, they're all financial advisors. So the wirehouse guys right now are coming up well when you ask if they're credible, if they do a good job, when you ask kind of questions like a customer would. However, a lot of the independents who haven't been doing any work producing content, who don't have really active website or presence, they're doing predominantly just social stuff. The social stuff is not getting credited as qualitative. And so it's just really interesting. So Steve, I'm with you, man, 100%. And
Awesome.
really, I get to meet you in person in 54 days.
And Joe registered this morning. Thank you very much, Joe. Looking forward to seeing you, man. Yeah.
Steve, I'd submit your question that I agree that we're going more and more in that direction, but I've used this example for a long time, several years, that Mike's point that it's about execution, it's not about information. If we think about a simple social example, how does someone lose weight? The knowledge of how to do that has been out there. You walk down the street and ask anybody, what's the formula to lose weight? They all know what it is. It's more exercise and
If you
eat
die,
less.
if you die, that's the fastest way to lose weight.
It is a good way. Being beheaded is also a good way to lose weight.
Amputation.
But guys,
Go ahead.
losing weight is not a difficult formula, and yet as a society we have trouble doing it consistently. And why is that? That's not about knowing how to do it. That's about execution. It's about actually doing the hard work of getting it done, right? And that it's a great example, George, back to your point and several points I've made here. It's a great example that the idea of advisors going away is silly.
It's silly.
Right? It's silly. The idea that we're going to be doing the same thing we've been doing for the last 100 years is also silly, right? Now what we got to do is understand what is it that we're going to be doing now, how are we going to be doing it, and what are the tools that we're going to be using. Great article in the Wall Street Journal recently about McKinsey, that they're going from using on average 10 people and a partner on a job to using 4 people and a partner on a job, and what the implications of that are, and all those things. And it just shows this isn't just hitting individual or small businesses. This is hitting everybody up and down the scale.
100%, Eric. I love your analogy, and Mike Garrison admonished me to stop saying analog and digital and to say in person and digital. And I think your point's a very good one, Eric. In person, we all know how to lose weight, right? We know exactly how to do it. And if we all were accountable, right? If we had discipline and we were accountable, we would all lose weight. I've got, whatever. That's a great analogy. Why does
Except that you and I like French food too much, and French wine.
I had a heck of a meal last night. Speaking of which, why is Nutrisystem, to pick one out of the blue, why was Nutrisystem so successful? Because there was in-person accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are gyms so successful? You can go and jump up and down in your living room. Again, accountability, in person, and Eric, I think your point's a super good one. And
to your point, there's several models. There's weight loss programs, there's gyms, there's individual coaching. There's lots of different models to accomplish the same thing, right? So you don't, there's not just one single model to do it and one single way to do it.
And
different people react to different ones.
100%. And people who are arguing that, I think the impact, and I posted as a comment to maybe to that article, the fact that, oh yes, in that article they said, hey, send us an email with your thoughts, and I sent the authors an email with my thoughts, and I've heard exactly nothing back. Not surprising, because they probably got 10,000 emails that they now are using AI to go through. Here's the bottom line. Who hits pause on this thing? Who dismisses good, things that you scheduled for yourself because they were important, and you just go, whoop. Who does that? Am I the only one? Yeah,
No.
Thank you. I don't think I'm the only one. That's digital accountability. If I say to Larry and Andy, okay, guys, well, I'm going to call Mike and see how he feels about moving his workshop from 10 people into 70 plus. And is he excited about that? And does he agree? Is that going to be cool with him? Well, that's in-person accountability. And it's the most important thing, and it's the most valuable thing we do. So,
yeah.
Heck yes. Steve, I do think that, what we're going to be able to do is we are able to harness AI to do a lot of the back office work that we currently do. There is no substitute for the one pager. We still need to think. We still need to be in the game. We still need to review the outputs of AI, but it's going to make us much more efficient and thereby free up time to invest in client-facing in-person activities, whether that's client acquisition, roughly COIs and CEOs, or holding our clients' hands, or doing in-person, or being able to say, you know what, no problem, I'll be right there. Guys, tell you what, I'll be right over.
Yeah.
Imagine
Let me
having
give
to
you an
plan.
example of efficiency, George.
Please.
So, I was in an AI workshop, I guess last week, the week before, and the leader of the workshop said, "Hey, I'm going to give you guys all, guys, gals, all $500,000. Would you like that?" And a bunch of smiles, obviously. So then he's sharing his screen. So he goes to Google and asks Google, "How much would McKinsey charge for a strategic plan?" Google comes back and says $500,000 to $1.25 million.
Yeah.
So then and this is an hour briefing. So then he proceeds to pick someone out of the audience that runs a measurable business and said, "How would you like a strategic plan?" Asked him half a dozen questions. I won't give you the details of the process, but boom, boom, uses deep research and goes to another model, which, and anyway, and deep research takes several minutes. So he went on and yammered about other stuff while the deep research was going on. But then he gets the results, plugs it in a gamma, and voila, within less than an hour, he's got a 50 to 70 page strategic plan for that business that he picked out of the audience.
Yep.
Just based on what was available.
Just to tag on to that, Steve, I was reading a really fascinating article on Wall Street Journal about how McKinsey is using AI, and it's really changing their groups. So instead of large groups of consultants, they have smaller groups of consultants. They're going down market now, and they're really doing what that article that Andy Weevil shared. They are becoming AI consultants, and they see that as a future of the consulting business. So just to highlight what you're saying,
I mean, it's to me, just simple person here, mind blowing.
yeah.
And that's why.
What a
Steve,
great time to be alive and know what you're doing. Like
and
that's the advantage of AI. If you're an expert at what you do, AI is not a threat to you. If you're not an expert, it's a threat.
Well, I
And-
wouldn't even say that it's a threat, because if you're not an expert, AI is giving you one of the most powerful opportunities to grow and become an expert. Because as you're going through and you're gaining this information, if you're knowledgeable enough to verify and dive in and make sure that you are obtaining all of the information, and you can start to pinpoint where, yes, it's a very small percent, but it's still there, the hallucinations that come up, you're going to be able to pilot that far stronger than, I would even say, like the novices that are just taking it as a free ride.
I would say that you still have to be an expert, but you have to be an expert at these large language models, right? You have to understand what process is necessary to get accurate information. You have to understand how to teach it to test itself. Like I was talking to a big time guy at Raymond James this morning and going through some stuff for him. And he sent me a couple of his newsletter article / advertisements that he's doing for one of these publications. And he wanted me to review them. Eric, it was Dennis, that guy we had dinner with.
Yeah.
So big time hitter, potential thing for us to discuss next week, my friend.
Yeah.
Collaboration, I hate it. But anyways, like he's like, "Hey, I need to do some titles." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I ran his rough draft through chat, got some titles, and I was like, "Man, these titles suck." And so I was like, "All right, I want you to, using Marcus Sheridan's endless customers methodology, I want you to give me titles that are answers to the questions that successful business owners in this niche are asking AI right now." Boom. The results were dramatically different and better. And so my point is, Stephen, you made my thing. You have to be an expert. You don't necessarily need to be an expert at plumbing or whatever, but the new expertise is, do you understand how to ask the right questions of this tool to generate results?
Well, and you could say that this is a skill that's as old as time. Like, if you don't know how to use your tools, it doesn't matter if you're a mechanic that's been doing it 20 years or 10 or 5 or 1. If you don't know where to go, how to use your tools, how to apply it, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bench
But remember,
press
it's not
elbows
search.
experience here. Heck yes.
It's no longer search where you get lots of links. It's the results you get are completely dependent upon your ability to text prompt and also to train your own private stuff.
Yep.
Now let's look at Steve's strategic. Steve, I love you that you shared that, and you're absolutely right. So I had a gentleman post up in my booth in at AI CPA Engage, and he said, "Why the heck would I?" I mean, he was kind of confrontational at first. Why the heck would I subscribe to your software? Why would I subscribe to your system? I can just use AI to do that. You can, and here's what you're not going to get. Because AI can't see inside your business. AI can make inferences. AI can make, draw generalized conclusions. And AI can even say, well, we anticipate that this is the order of battle. But what AI can't do, unless you feed it information, clarity, is understand the business's current strategic capacity and what needs to change. What do we need to redesign? What redesign do we need to execute in what order? And what you guys, anybody who's been through C3D has learned this. And how do we prioritize the action steps for this business? We need to create a sales process. Well, that's great. Everyone here sells, but no one understands what the process is. Well, if we don't have someone who's
the
an
human
expert in
dynamics
process,
the human dynamics, like,
Yeah.
without betraying our mutual client, Eric, like AI would have had no ability to help whatsoever with that situation we were working with the week before, where it was all about human relationships and how this, I mean, it's pretty epic actually. But, and by the way, Eric is the man when it comes to HR issues. I was humbled and blessed to watch him work.
Thank you, Mike.
Eric,
I think this also comes down to a lot of advisors hide behind their technical abilities.
Yeah.
Mike, you and I have had this conversation 100 times. Financial advisors in particular love to talk about the really shiny tools they've got, and I can do this and I can do that. More and more, guys, the winning is going to come down to, can we deal with people issues? Because every issue in a business comes down to some people issue in there. And if we're only applying the technical tool to things, we're missing a lot of the reason why issues are coming up and what needs to happen. And to Mike's point, AI can't solve those people issues. AI can talk about the technical issues. How do you make 1 + 1 = 3? Well, here's how you do that mathematically, but it can't solve how do you convince Susie or Jimmy or Freddie that they need to behave in their, in
After 3 years, right? And that was the thing, is like, these things, these problems weren't recent. They went back years with all kinds of different interactions. And if AI is able to get down to that sometime in the future, that's kind of terrifying and exciting. It's like, how do you know?
Yeah.
It's really interesting because fundamentally, each of our advisory businesses and the clients we serve are groups of people executing processes that generate cash. That is all a business is, right? Groups of people executing processes that generate cash. And it's that groups of people thing that
Most of them generate cash, George, not all of them.
make a fair point, Eric.
An awkward truth.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. And what I love about this group is we are not what's it, henny penny? That's not that the sky is falling. We're looking up and saying, bring it. And I admire you guys for that.
Hey, is anybody using AI workflows and doing custom chat GPTs? Anybody doing that where you've looked at, you're like, All right, good. It's like, because Andy Weevil kind of turned me on to it, and then that has been an absolute game changer for me. It's what I'm really excited about Claire, not having to design them myself and being able to customize them, but all the other stuff, it literally took a process that usually involves dozens of hours in the past. It made it into less than an hour per workflow.
Yeah.
Including designing a custom GPT that I can send to clients.
So if you are wondering why you might come to the summit, ladies and gentlemen, listening to this out there in the world, we are going to dive into those exact topics before we even start the summit. And then we're going to weave them through. And we're not going to, it's not going to be training, but you're going to understand the storyline far more clearly than many of us do currently. Teresa, I believe we're going to be seeing you at the summit. Paul, do you think you and your bride can make the trip? Not going to happen? Man, that's sad. I'd love to see you.
I have another comment. You guys went down this path with something that was kicking around my head. I guess this is probably another controversial statement, but that 10% growth in strategic capacity is so 2024.
I can't wait to see how you follow this up.
Go ahead, Steve.
I would say if I was a bit better at AI, I could mechanically affect all the 12 drivers in a business in a month. And then, to your point, I'd spend the rest of the year trying to get the human part of the business to catch up.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That's a great point.
It's not the technical part that's the hard part, Steve, that takes time. It's the people part.
Well, it used to take time, but it doesn't have to anymore.
And the businesses, the clients who get this and adopt this and who you are advising, this is
that is gratuitous.
Shameless plug.
Well
but deserved and well played, man. Well
if
played.
only there was an AI
One of my virtues.
for that.
Yeah. Yeah. The world is evolving quickly and it is going to free up time. But it's one thing to, Steve, your point's a really good one. It's one thing to say, okay, guys, here's a sales process and I've generated it and, I took some time in AI and I've proof tested it and I've checked in with some of my colleagues and this is our sales process. It's something else altogether to have people adopt the process, execute it with skill and be accountable to results, to create the supporting sales plans, all of the human, I guess the messy human part. And it's not the messy, it's the wonderful human part. Yeah. Wait,
It's messy.
It is messy.
Question for us is that, we're moving a lot faster than the client can handle, or certainly its team can handle the download. And so buffering that in and putting that into a contractual format, what's the best practices around that? Typically your retainer strategy is that, if it takes them longer to take it in and make it happen, then that's, as long as they're feeling like they're making progress, why do we care on the retainer strategy versus a set scope? Any strategies there, or thinking about moving to more of a retainer strategy than a scope of work strategy, if that makes sense, but combining, a defined scope and a certain amount of time frame, because it would appear that we're coming up with solutions a lot quicker than the organization could adopt them. And when you do that, you overwhelm them, and then oftentimes they time out and just say, you're far too sophisticated for what we're ready to handle, and then you just by default they're embarrassed, and then they move away from you. I don't know. Anybody experience that?
That's a great question, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a personal trainer and I say to somebody that they're going to be running marathons in a month, like that's unrealistic, and they're gonna look at me and say you're crazy and not, and not engage, right? So I think part of the art of being a great advisor is reading where the person is, understanding what their capacity for change is. Thank you, Tim, for your your resources, and then helping them go through that change in a properly sequenced and paced environment for them.
Eric, just to tag team on that, like change is a glucose process, right? So like I think so often when we especially when I was an earlier consultant, I failed to take into account the physiological requirement for improvement in any natural organism, which is adapt, recover, right? So stimulus, adapt, recover. Like when people are learning, they are burning blood glucose in their brain. That there's only a certain amount of calories that they can affect and process. And so if you, to Joe's credit, like if you hit them with too much stuff, they're going to run out of steam.
Yeah.
And if you keep hitting them with too much stuff, they're going to be overtrained. And like I always say, like if you want to be a real coach, you need to study how thousands of years of physical training coaches affect change. And the best coaches focus on recovery, not necessarily stimulation.
Yeah. Yeah. The most valuable data I get from this thing is recovery. Yeah.
And so like that's the biggest thing is fundamentally like what will the client agree to do, and are they going to be able to reasonably affect that level of change? And sometimes, it can be a really problem. I mean, I emphasize with Joe, I've got a client who moves way too fast, and I'm always fighting from behind with the client, and we're still kind of working out the nuance of like how can I introduce a concept to him that he's not going to immediately go out and stress out every single person in his organization with it with his excitement.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike. I've seen it also at both ends of the spectrum. I have a client right now that's way too fast. Every time we talk about something, he wants to get it done yesterday, and then and implement it. And you're like, hold on a second, we got 3 more things going. You're going to ruin those 3 things while you get this new shiny thing done. And then I have ones that can't, to your point, Joe, can't absorb it fast enough, and you got to slow way down, right? And go, hold on, we're just going to work on this one thing. Yes, there are 5 more things in the list. They're in the queue out there. Don't worry about them. Let's focus on this one thing. Let's get this one thing done. And we'll move to the next one. Don't worry, we'll get to all of them, but they'll come in sequence.
Yes.
I mentioned
Go ahead.
Well, a couple things.
That's great. Thanks.
An example of how to influence a client. So one of these AI gurus that I follow, he doesn't force stuff. He'll go into a business and create a custom GPT to do something, and the customer will, holy spit. So basically, show the value before you try to sell something.
We prove our value by delivering value. Heck yes, Steve.
And then another miscellaneous comment relative to the last couple of comments there, to Eric's point. Again, I'll cite another author, Mike Michalowicz. He's got some team books, but one of them is Fix This Next. So you go into that and you apply that methodology. And, it's like George has used you put out the fire in the lobby first before you worry about, fixing up the penthouse, et cetera.
Yeah. And in C3D, we teach, you learn from your colleagues, a couple of whom are on this call, about how do we need to meet the client where they are. We need to get early wins. And we need to, you'll notice that the process plays out. I mean, we're tracking our sprints in business flow, right? In the scorecard. And as we're tracking sprints in the scorecard, we are actually slowing the process down or getting the process at a pace that the client can comprehend. And we focus a light on success and failure, and so much more. So I totally agree. You guys are making some great points.
But I throw one last comment in to this point, Joe, and it is a fantastic question, Joe. Go look at I don't think you were on our call last week, Joe. Go look at last week's commentary. And one of the things we talked a lot about was, if you don't go and find out what the whole problem is, if you don't ask enough questions and look at things holistically, we often start going down a path because it's what we're familiar with, or it's the symptom that they're talking about most, or whatever's driving it, and we miss a bunch of things, and then we get out of sequence, and then that's when people get excited because they're like, well, you're doing this over here, but I've heard somebody else say we should do this over here. If we do the work to really understand the whole problem and ask more questions, then we get a whole picture of where we are. Now it's much easier to do the sequence with clarity done and a priority on what the hot, an Eisenhower matrix of what's important and urgent, right? Not just what's urgent or what's important, and looking at all those factors and then prioritizing what you're going to do. And the client feels better because they understand that you're looking at them holistically. You're not just putting a Band-Aid on their little owie. You're actually asking them about how did they get into the problem in the first place, and you're trying to solve them, not doing it again.
Eric, heck yes. Which is why, although clarity starts our analysis of strategic capacity, we start our engagements with an analysis, with discovery, deep discovery. The growth conversation is designed specific. I wish Parsons was on this call. He just ran a growth conversation, and it generated exactly the type of intel that he.
The question that spurred that, by the way, is how do you go wider in your, we have our thing that we know about, how do we go wider? And that was the discussion that rolled out of that is the way you go wider is you ask more questions, even if you can't do it yourself. You know people, look at the people on this call, people who can do the other parts.
But we definitely need to carefully and precisely define strategic intent, which we can't do by saying, we need to do by asking, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's strategic intent. And unless and until we understand strategic intent, we can't possibly design a plan that is going to, how do we design a plan that is going to get our client that understands and contemplates their end state, whether that's money or legacy or whatever.
Hey,
Please.
George, one of the things that this is like a little teaser for the conference, but one of the ways that you win through collaboration in sales as a consultant is you don't have a pipeline that's constrained to your product and your service. Instead, you are managing a collaborative outcome-based pipeline for your ideal clients. And what that allows you to do is, number one, you can layer in other people at all the different points of the sales process, to include delivery and referrals at the end. But specifically in top of the funnel stuff, you can layer in a expert like Steve Duke, and Steve can collaboratively with you. If you're identified by name and, business type, you can collaborate at multiple points. And that's really what I'm going to talk about, is like, the myth is you have to, market like the devil and do all of this automation and all this other marketing. The reality is you need to double down on collaboration and look at your sales process and how collaboration can absolutely, number one, simplify what you do when you do it with prospects, so you can manage a multi-year pipeline if you've got the right collaborators, right?
Yes.
So like an example, a real quick example today is one of my great advisors has got a really awesome HVAC company, right? And they're executing an internal transfer, right? So there's going to be a buyout over a 5-year period. So we know we've got an extended timeline. So we're not in an exit planning thing. We're in a growth drive sequence. But
Love it.
we're bringing in, and I'm teaching my client, we're bringing immediately in a highly trusted safe driver, investment banker, M&A person that's FINRA licensed, because we don't refer to ones that aren't when we're doing with financial advisors. We're bringing in that person. That was, yes, that was for you, George.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
But
Violent
like,
agreement, by the way. Violent agreement.
but we're bringing that M&A person in now because number one, that person can tell us, because they know HVAC, they can tell us what the business is worth now for real to a client because they represent buyers. Then number two, we can set both a contingent and an idealized timeline for the engagement, which will then determine who on the collaborative process is brought in and when.
You know, yeah. I have so many comments.
Well, let me just add some clarity that normally you don't want to do is have a annual review. You want to have the relationship kind of continue to roll over and continue to add on pieces to this, the overall scope. It just keeps on rolling. And the expectation is that if you reach your destiny, whatever destiny is in the owner's viewpoint, then, but ideally you don't have this moment in which there's a re-up. When you have that, it's just, it's a month-to-month contract with, here's the scope that we want to carry, and the better are you describing what that future state is with clarity. But it has come up. I'm looking for a sales manager now, looking for a plant manager now. Those are not in my wheelhouse, right? And yet we can advise them to bring in the right resources at the right time. And that's what they get from us, right? Is the clarity, the understanding of when to incorporate something, when to become important enough, then to focus on it, and then get it done. So that quarterback or shotgun type relationship, and that's not right. Yeah, maybe just. And I think George, you said something with you had a driver and a guy with a map, right? You were
Yeah, the co-driver. That's the
CVO is the driver, and you're the co-pilot, if you will. And it's okay if it crashes. We survive because we got elder clients that could can back us up. But
Hey, Joe.
Anyways,
Hey, Joe, I'm not processing what you're saying, and I think we might be in respectful and professional disagreement. I tend to work in 90-day increments, and I really value re-upping consciously with clients to deliver specific results. And so like I think what you're addressing is not how I do business. It doesn't mean I'm right or you're wrong. It just means that like I would be cautious generalizing that the never re-upping is the dominant way we should do business. It depends upon you and your clients, because I've that's all I'm saying is I wasn't quite sure where you're going with that, but I just wanted to provide that feedback.
It's interesting because we're going to be workshopping. If you think about that one session, that one big block of time, we're doing a half day on different business models. But this comes into this is the type of issue, and this is why a summit is not a conference. You'll be able to raise your hands and say, ask Joe what he means, ask Mike what he means. This is a terrific conversation, guys. Hey, hard to believe, it is 10:24. Could we go around? Would it be okay with you guys if we go around and do key takeaways from our conversation so far, which with the hour just winged by. Would that be okay with you guys? And if it
Yeah.
is, can someone launch us?
Sure. I'll go.
Thank you, Steve.
Short and sweet. The times, they are changing.
Bob Dylan.
But the value we deliver to our clients is changing and increasing. Cool, Steve. Who are you going to pass it to?
Eric is next on my screen.
Yeah, I continue to value, and I know I've said this before multiple times, but I continue to value the diversity of thought and experience on this call. Like, it's valuable. The reason I keep showing up every week is I learn something every single week because somebody brings up a point from a different perspective than I would have addressed it, and it challenges me to think about it. So I appreciate that. So
Thank you, Eric.
Paul.
I haven't been here in a while, so I know I'm missing something with not making it to the summit. 2, AI is essential, but you can't ask AI what you need to ask the business person. That's
a great point.
All of the person things that
That's
are
my takeaway.
business, only he knows, not the AI, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
I'll pass to Tim.
You, Tim.
Scrub.
I was just checking to see if I could refer Paul to come to the conference.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with Eric and Paul that I mean, my takeaway is just being on this call to grow from the consciousness that everybody shares. It helps me to conversationalize these things, especially when I'm with clients or working with other advisors. The truth bombs that come out of here and about, it all coming down to people and things that are going to help keep me relevant, as the conversation proceeds with AI. And I feel like I'm on the face of a wave, like surfing, not one of the people who missed it or being trashed by it. So thanks to all of you guys for helping keep that relevant. And I will pass to Mr. Garrison.
Cool. I thought Paul, his comment was my takeaway, right? When you get down to it, absolutely brilliant. And I'm going to pass it to Teresa because I haven't talked to her in forever.
Hi, Mike. I've missed you on this call. I love consistency of this call and showing up. So the thought leadership when you're a solopreneur or in a collaboration group, it's a consistency in showing up every single week. You're the thought leadership. So I like kind of what Mike said, the 30 plus 30. So it's building all of that knowledge together. So I thought of him saying like 60 years of knowledge right there because he's only 21. So I'll pass it to Stephen.
My big takeaway is definitely, the AI aspect of it being a tool, as well as the collaboration and accountability aspect that we bring to the table when we work with business owners. I thought that was a really big piece because, there's an entire industry, like was said, with, health, weight loss, fitness is entirely around this accountability, this group aspect. I think that that's really powerful. So that was probably my big key takeaway here. And I will pass to Joe. I don't think Joe's gone.
Yes.
Thanks, Steve.
So I've spent 20 years in the CEO coaching world at this stage, and as a member and also as a chair. And one of the things that I think eventually looking back on it, we're kind of a behavior enabler, and that enabling behavior that we give our clients is that we introduce too many new things too quickly for them to really digest. And the leadership team around them typically found a way to delay whatever it is they brought home to work on for a month, and then there was a new flavor of the month to come around for this. So as a recovering Vistage chair, one of the things we want to make sure is understanding that what we deliver are implementation strategies, and we hang with the implementation, not just going to the next idea, because the owners will, by design and their personality types, will always want to go that shiny penny. And we're the ones that kind of bring back reality to the execution, timing, and the team and reality of capacity, right? So as I reflect on that, the strategy that I use is that average client stays with me for 7 years. So that's the mentality I bring in with. I go into the assumption that I'm going to be around for a long time. So, but that's helpful to kind of reframe my thoughts today. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Joe.
What's your takeaway, George?
I like you. My
I know you
takeaway is that the diversity of this community, a professionally diverse community, is incredibly powerful. And the conversations we have every week, I mean, this is, I appreciate, I'm so grateful that you guys value this call, that you participate every week. These conversations are fantastic, and I learn a ton. So thank you. And you're going to meet some people at the summit who do not normally participate in this call, but who share our perspective. And I'm so excited about what the future has in store for you and for your clients. This is great stuff. So thank you. My key takeaway is I'm just eternally grateful to you guys.
Hey, go on vacation, okay?
I'm going on vacation. In fact, right this minute. Teresa, I saw your question. Let's discuss. In fact, I will call you right now. Cool? All right.
Right.
Well, guys, thank you. And next Tuesday, I'm going to be in Louisville with Mike, so neither of us will be on this call. However, I'm looking forward to watching the tape. Yes, I'm going to keep saying tape. Thank you, Eric, Steve, Paul, Tim, Joe, Teresa. Mike's already gone. Have a great day. Have a great week, guys. Anything I can do to help, let me know. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by the Growth Drive Summit. Our theme this year is building a profitable advisory business. Join us in Charleston, South Carolina, October 6th, 7th, and 8th. Expand your network, learn new skills, and generally have a good time. This is a top-rated event. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you.